So yesterday, as you know, the president invited the leaders of Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, UAE, and Israel to the White House, and a little treaty. Bahrain and UAE and Israel signed a little treaty. That's never happened before. It's a pretty big deal. I got letters, and I'll deal with one in a minute. Said, O'Reilly, you called it a dog and pony show. I called the exposition, not the actual deal. The deal is serious and good. And now Saudi Arabia is allowing flights to and from Israel to fly over its airspace. So a lot of progress being made in the Middle East. Do Americans care about that? Not really. They should, but they really don't. However, the networks were forced to cover it. No. But they didn't really cover it. Instead, they covered COVID. Here's CNN. Go.
Want to take you now and get the latest on coronavirus today, which now has killed nearly 195,000 Americans. More than 6.5 million people in this country have been infected. And even with those numbers climbing to sobering levels, President Trump continues to deny the science behind the virus, holding events with no social distancing and very few face coverings. Just this afternoon at a White House event to mark the normalization of relations between Israel, Bahrain, and the UAE, there were hundreds of people gathered with little in the way of social distancing.
So that's their headline. And then their White House reporter, CNN's White House reporter, Caitlin Collins, comes on and says this. Go.
President Trump presided over a signing ceremony at the White House today as Israel established formal ties with the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain.
It's going to be peace in the Middle East.
But the signing of the accords that Trump hailed as historic also drew attention because hundreds of guests were packed on the South Lawn with little social distancing and optional masks.
Do you sense a theme here? All right, so here's how it goes down. About 8 o'clock in the morning, at CNN, NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox News, there is a meeting with the news president and his acolytes, all right, executive producers, assistants, all of that. They have a meeting, in-person meeting, not probably doing it by Zoom or whatever. But this happens in every news organization on television, about 8 a.m., sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little later. In that meeting emerges the theme of the day. Okay? So the theme of the day is dictated by the news president, in this case, CNN, Jeff Zucker, an ardent Trump hater. Now, Zucker and Trump used to be pals because they worked together on The Apprentice, but now they hate each other. So Zucker basically says, hey, we have to cover this Mideast deal, but we really don't want to make Trump look good. So we know the crowd in the White House lawn is not going to have masks and are not going to be 6 feet apart, so let's concentrate on that. And everybody writes it down. So when the anchors come in, no matter who they are, they get that message, not in written form. They don't write stuff down, because if they did, that could be leaked out. They are told, well, here's the point of view that we're taking, and the anchors better do it. Now, when I was on Fox News, that I was never part of that meeting. My staff wasn't part of it, nothing. Because the arrangement that I had with FNC is you have your meetings, but I'm not a part of it. I am totally independent. And they honored that. And I don't know what they said, I don't know what they did, I didn't care. I wasn't part of it. I didn't have to experience it. But I know, because I work with everybody, about the meeting every day that was held at Fox News, and certain themes arose. Now, the boss at the time, Roger Ailes, as far as I know, didn't tell anchors what to say. All right, I talked to Hannity about this, and Hannity goes, no, he was never told anything. And all the other guys that I've talked to and gals, nobody ever said they were told what to say, ever, to me. And which I admired about Ailes, that he did have a point of view on the news, and it was known in the building, but he didn't order you to do anything. It's different at CNN and NBC and CBS and ABC.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The First.